Happy Wednesday to you, everybody. It is Dirk again, and we are once again rolling. We are on Interstate 39 in Illinois. We are heading south, just passing through the Loves Park / Rockford, Illinois area, and we're heading down to Woodridge, I think it is. We're going to some sort of a distribution center in Woodridge, Illinois, and picking up our next load now that we are empty, now that we have dropped off all of that sugar yesterday. And we're going to pick up a loaded trailer and bring that out to Highland Park, Michigan. And for any of you automotive and history buffs out there like I am, Highland Park, Michigan, very, very famous for the Henry Ford Company, Ford Motor Company, Highland Park assembly plants. One of the very first monster-sized auto assembly plants, and one of the very first to run Henry Ford's whole concept of assembly line work, which radically streamlined the entire manufacturing process for all products made across the globe. So interesting, very interesting. Always try to find out about history. It's fascinating. But anyway, we are making our own history, I suppose. Yesterday, left that receiver and was pretty close to the end of my clock, so I hadn't received a load yet, and I had spoken earlier with my dispatcher, and he said, yeah, well, I'll send you something in the morning, just go relax, which was very nice. So I did exactly that. So I'm driving along, and I'm approaching the Beloit area, and in Beloit there is a Pilot Flying J in Beloit, and then there is another Flying J that is in South Beloit, and they're actually fairly close to each other. But they had just redone the entire interchange there of Interstate 39, Interstate 43, and that whole Beloit interchange area. The state of Wisconsin finally decided to address that horrible, for years, for decades, that horrible interchange, and they finally rebuilt it, and man, did they do an absolutely spectacular job with that. Kudos to the Wisconsin road planners and DOT or whoever the heck was involved in that, because it turned out absolutely beautiful. They turned an absolute nightmare of an interchange into just something absolutely stellar. So kudos to those engineers and workers that did all of that. Brilliant job. But I decided to stop at the Pilot Flying J in Beloit, knowing full well, because this is my old stomping grounds. I used to run that Walmart account with Schneider through here quite a bit. And I knew full well that particular Pilot Flying J in Beloit, it's always a madhouse, no matter when you're there, no matter what day of the week, no matter what time. It's an absolute zoo. And part of the reason, actually the reason, two reasons why. Number one, it's pretty small, and the way it was designed, I can only imagine, was just because of the available space that they were able to buy as far as land. But that's just my guess. But the way the place is laid out, it really kind of messes with a lot of people that are not familiar with it, because there's a turn into it to the right, the very first turn in, and it's like you turn in and it's like boom, the fuel island is right there. I mean, it's like one truck length away from the street, and you're already in the fuel lane, which is unusual. It only leaves room for like one truck to park behind the person who's actively fueling, because otherwise you're out on the street. And so as a result, trucks do end up tending to line up on the street, and the street isn't very long. turning off of Milwaukee. So it ends up being a real like gridlock right there. So what a lot of guys do that aren't familiar or that, are just not thinking, they blow by that entrance and go to the exit, which is the next, curb inlet there. And what they don't get, if they've never been there, is that place is so tight and so narrow that as soon as they pull in there, number one, they can't get back out because it's very tight. And there's a lot of traffic and a lot of commotion going on there. And when they turn in, now they're stuck because it creates an instant bottleneck. So now all the people that are trying to leave the fuel island are blocked in because they can't get out because somebody's coming into the exit. And so it ends up always being just an absolute free-for-all in there. So I was kind of curious because I hadn't been there in quite some time. I learned to avoid it. But I thought, with that whole interchange reconstruction, they're basically right on it. I mean, they're literally, 100 yards off of I-39. So I thought, well, maybe they did something as far as like reconfiguring it or improving it or, improving that street. So I wanted to see. Curious me. So I pull in there and of course nothing's changed. It's an absolute zoo. There's people pulling into the exit and completely clogging the place up. There's one guy leaning on his horn, on his air horn, because he's so angry at people coming in the exit. And I'm thinking, okay, that solves a lot. Now you haven't accomplished a damn thing because the guy can't move. And anybody that is a night driver that happens to be sleeping, you just woke them up. So kudos to you, Mr. Hothead. Man, tempers do not get you anywhere in trucking. They don't get you anywhere in life, but certainly not in trucking. Tempers never solve anything. As a matter of fact, they only make things worse. They just exacerbate everything. So anyway, I'm fueling the truck, and there's a guy right next to me fueling his truck, and we both have a similar type where you have to go behind the air fairings to get to the fuel tanks. And I'm standing there, and he's standing there, and all of a sudden he looks up, I look up, and make eye contact. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, hey, how are you? And so we're like just chit-chatting, and talking about the absolute clusterfuck going on in front of our eyes at this madhouse of a truck stop. And as we're talking, he basically said that he was looking to shut down. And so I said, hey, you know what, before you try to even think of messing around in here, I said, dude, when you're done fueling, there's another Flying J literally a mile or two down I-39. And they have like 170 spots as opposed to the 50 that are, shoehorned into this place. So do yourself a favor when you're finished fueling, do exactly what I'm doing and go down there. And he's like, oh, dude, thanks. It's like, I could just see like his level of stress just easing way down, because he was already anticipating, how the hell am I going to get parking in this place? So, another, yet again, another example of, reaching out to somebody and just, hey, if you happen to have some knowledge of the area, share it, so I finish fueling, I get in my truck, and I finally get out of there after about a half an hour of waiting for the gridlock in front of me to clear up. And I'm on my way. I go down and I go into the Flying J that's in South Beloit. And of course, it's starting to fill up because it's late afternoon already. But there's plenty of spaces because it's really big and it's well laid out. And so I back into my space and I'm shut down and I'm doing my post trip. And as I come around to the front end of my truck doing my post trip, who do I see pulling into the aisle? That guy that I had met at the fuel island. And he didn't see me at first, and all of a sudden I raised my thumb up in the air like, hey, and I see him through the windshield look at me, and he's just like, thank you. It's just little things like that make my day. I just thought it was cool. So obviously he was able to find some far less stressful parking and shut down for the night. So that was kind of cool. And the Flying J there has a Denny's attached to it. And as I was sitting there, I was so hungry, and I was thinking, you know what? I don't think I can remember the last time I've been to a Denny's. And you know, I usually eat bunny and rabbit food throughout most of my week trucking, and I thought, you know what? I need something heavy. I need some starch and carbohydrates and fat and meat protein, and I need something like stick to the ribs, right? So I figured, what the hell, let's do Denny's. I haven't been there in a decade or so. So ordered a fried chicken dinner with broccoli, mashed potatoes and brown gravy, and got some cheesecake with strawberry for dessert, and I just pigged out. Took it, pick up, carry out, ate it. I'm just more comfortable eating in the truck. Just, man, was that good. Shout out to Denny's. You know, I know they take a lot of heat for, oh, it's Denny's, you know, it's hangover food, or it's where you go at 4 a.m. after you've been out to the bars all night and all that stuff. But you know what I had last night, maybe just I was super hungry, maybe that's part of it, sure, but man, that was good. That was really, really, really good. And not expensive at all. I think the whole thing with a drink was like $20. So well worth it to have a monster size full meal. So I'm feeling really good today, all charged up on carbs and protein, and on my merry way, a happy camper. So let's see what today brings. Oh man, well, that was a lot of fun. We made it to our Willowbrook shipper, and drop and hook. So you think, hey, that's easy, cool, I'm gonna do a drop and hook. So I went to do the easy drop and hook, and they wanted my empty on a certain door, and they said, your full trailer is still on a door. So, you know, put your trailer on this door and grab your outbound trailer from that door, seal it up, and off you go, and here's your paperwork. So great, fine, thank you. So proceeded, did exactly that, and I pick up my trailer, and I won't say what's in the trailer, but it is liquid, and it is very heavy, so it's 42,000 plus pounds in the trailer. And unfortunately, their dock area and all their asphalt and stuff is extremely pitchy. It's uneven, it kind of undulates all over the place. And anybody that drives knows that when you are trying to close doors on a trailer that has a lot of weight in it, or slide tandems on a trailer that has a lot of weight in it, that can be really nightmarish when you're on uneven ground. And sure enough, that's exactly what it proved to be. So I spent well over an hour trying to position the trailer in all these different spots to get the doors to shut, because, you know, the trailer flexes, especially when the doors are open. Once the doors are shut, they add some structural rigidity. But when they're open, that rigidity, a good amount of it is gone. So finally ended up just having to back up. I tried 3 different doors, tried to back up onto 3 different doors, but even those were so uneven they wouldn't shut. And I finally found a door where the surface was level enough that I finally got the door shut. And I'm thinking, hallelujah, good thing that's done with. And then I went to go try to slide my tandems, because my tandems are all the way to the back. Wouldn't budge. Great. So I went through the exact same circus trying to get the tandem pins to release, and they wouldn't release because all the weight is on them, because they're slid all the way back and uneven ground. And so I finally just had to pull out of that entire facility with the trailer. I had it sealed, locked, all that stuff, but my tandems were literally all the way back. And I just pulled out onto the street and drove down the block just a bit until the street itself was super level and smooth. Stopped, put my 4-ways on, tried to budge those pins loose again, wouldn't budge. And thankfully I come prepared. I'm a bit of a Boy Scout, so I had a good solid carbon steel 3-pound mallet. Short, stubby little guy, but man, that thing packs a wallop. I mean, it packs some energy behind it. And I went under there, whap, once onto the stuck pin, and all I got was a cloud of rust. Didn't budge. Wound up, did it again, whap, and boom, it popped loose. So finally got the damn thing to release, slid the tandems, and I'm good to go. So just as I'm about to move the truck and get rolling to Michigan, get a call from my dispatcher. Hey, I need you to stop by GP Transco headquarters. Oh, okay. Well, it's very close by. It's 20 minutes away. I said, okay, why the detour? What's going on? He goes, well, I want you to go meet the operations manager. Oh, okay. What about? Don't worry, you're not in trouble. It's everything's okay. He just wants to meet you. Oh, all right. So that's all I know. I'm now heading back to GP Transco headquarters and to meet the operations manager, who I guess I've never met. And hopefully I'm still employed. Hopefully they're not telling me to get the hell out. He said it wasn't anything bad, but so I don't know. Oh, maybe they got my pony. My recruiter promised me that if I came to GP Transco, I would get a pony. And I never got my pony, so maybe he has it. Let's see. Man, I'll tell you what, either I'm getting exceptionally lucky or I'm getting really good at eyeballing the weight balance on a semi-truck. So when I pick this load up, it's 42,000 pounds. So it's a pretty heavy load. And when I hooked up onto the trailer, of course, the tandems were slid all the way back, as people do. And so, of course, I'm not going to drive like that, right? So I slid the tandems a little bit forward, and what I did is slid them a few feet, kind of get out of the truck, kind of give it a look, and I'm looking at the compression of the suspension, how's the trailer sitting, just kind of looking at all the geometry of it, and thought, still doesn't seem quite right. So moved them a little bit more forward. And I think I got him in about the, I want to say, 4th or 5th hole by now. And that looked right to me. And, the truck was sitting the way I think it looks correct, right? So, and then I saw what was inside the truck, how they loaded it, and I was like, okay, that makes sense with what I saw loaded in there. And so anyway, I just stopped by the scale because obviously, I don't want to just go by my eyeballing guesstimate when it comes to scale houses. They're damn precise, right? So stopped at a TA here in Gary, Indiana. We're on Interstate 80, by the way, heading east towards the Detroit area. And so I stopped at this TA to use the CAT scale. And I think I'll try and get a picture of the printout. I mean, the thing is dead on. The truck is absolutely dead on. There's almost a perfect balance between the drives and the trailer tandems, and I'm at 11.7, I think, or something like that on the steers. I mean, absolutely perfect. Couldn't get better. So, like I said, either I'm like super lucky and kidding myself, or I'm actually seeing it. I think I'm seeing it. So anyway, either way, the truck is perfectly balanced. I'm totally legal and have the document to prove it from a certified scale. So we carry on. Well, I think it's time for a truck wash. I tell you what, that sweet potato plant got this truck absolutely trashed. It wasn't all that great to begin with from all the rain and crap on the road. So we're gonna get a truck wash.